Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. I'm going to transition this part of my garden over from the summer crops, it's the middle of August, over to cool weather crops for the fall. I'll show you how I do that. But I want to show you how you can have a chemical-free garden. No organic sprays, no synthetic sprays. These plants have been in here protected by this ag fabric cover. This is actually for fruit trees, and it has a zipper down the side. I had to get a bunch of these because we had cicadas coming this year to cover my fruit trees, and I want to reuse them. So the Brussels sprouts have been growing in there since spring. The kale's been growing in there since spring. I haven't done a lot of harvesting because this was an experiment. No damage from chewing insects, no white flies, no cabbage looper, no cabbage worm. The ag fabric works really well, and you don't have to spray or put down dust. Now, some snails do get in there, some fungus gnats, but a little iron phosphate takes care of the slugs. This is a way to have a chemical-free garden, and this is great if you want to spray less and you don't want to have to do that ongoing maintenance. So let me clear out this space, show you how to use this. I've cleaned up much of the area, harvested a bunch of carrots, beets, peppers. That'll provide several meals over the next couple of days. That is a 22-gallon container. There's a bottom in that. So for kale, moving from summer to winter, you don't have to worry so much about watering because it's going to cool off, so you can use containers that have bottoms. You just want to put in structures. That's 3 tomato cages that will support, basically tent up the ag fabric. So this is the space that I'm working on. You could put in 4 bamboo poles like that if you wanted to drop something in there. These are fire rings. The bottoms are open, so watering is less of an issue because the root systems go right into the ground. So I pulled everything out of there, freshened up the soil, dropped in some more soil on the top, and I'm going to drop in my kale plants. Now I just want to say one thing. I did say that you don't have to spray or dust, and that was mostly true. When you first put them in, and when these are sitting out, I noticed a white butterfly on there. You want to treat them when you first put them in, or clean them up and make sure there's no insects on there or no eggs on there. Only because once you put the ag fabric on there, you're not going to have any insects coming in, but if something laid eggs on here to start, there's going to be a problem. So you may want to use a spray or dust when you first put them in. So to set up the soil, it's pretty basic, nothing fancy. Any organic granular fertilizer, this was on sale. This is about a 434 NP&K. I liberally, big handful, sprinkle it on 1, 2, 3, and then I would mix that in several inches deep. I'll do the same thing over here. So in a space about this size, so right there, that's 1 Brussels sprout. And let me just show you up close. There's just fine holes in there. Watering's not an issue. Air goes through there. What it stops is the insects. You do have to check every once in a while. Sometimes if a leaf is leaning on here, a butterfly or moth will lay eggs right on here. So you can have minor problems, but this really is effective. So maybe in this space, 2 to 3 Brussels sprouts, 3 or 4 cauliflower plants, 3 or 4 broccoli plants. In here, I'm going to go with kale, and I'm going to mix up some green curled with some red Russian kale, and I'm going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4 kale plants. Let me drop in the fertilizer, get this set up, and I'll show you how I plant it. And then we'll put the cover over the top. So I'll show you how I drop the kale in. When we're done, everything's going to be watered in with a water-soluble fertilizer, and if you follow me, you know that I use fish emulsion. Any organic water-soluble fertilizer is great. This is ladder mesh. I will link the video that talks more about it, but you find this at Home Depot. It's usually in the section where they have masonry products like cement and rebar. They're not in every Home Depot, but this is a great material to work with, and you just rainbow the 10-foot piece this way and another 10-foot piece this way. They cost like $3, and you have your structure to hold up that egg fabric. So in here you could put kale, collards, you know, as I was saying, broccoli, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower. I really wouldn't do this with cabbage. Cabbage needs a lot of space. That's something I would do out in a row in the garden. So it's pretty straightforward. Transplants, just dig a hole. We're going to plant it to about here and pop it in. Nice and simple. This is going to get sprinkled with the insect dust one time, and I'm going to use, if the roots are really bound like that, just break them a little bit. I'm going to use Captain Jack's dead bug dust, put it right on there. That will take care of any problems. And this is how I would drop in kale. This doesn't get as big as collard greens. If I were going to put collard greens in here, I probably would just put in 3. So the ag fabric would go right over this. All right, let's get to finishing this up. This is pretty much the setup. You can get different sized covers for fruit trees and reuse them in your garden. You just have to measure the space so that you know what the circumference is of the cover that you're buying, you know, technically for fruit trees, but we're repurposing it. This one has a zipper, which I recommend. It's real easy to get in there, and you just pull it around the space supported by the ladder mesh, and then I can't do this one-handed, but you would just pull the zipper down and you can get to your vegetables real easily. This one doesn't have a zipper. Most of them have ties at the bottom, which I recommend. You would just have to untie this and lift it up, and then you can tend to your plants. Over here, this is a larger cover for a bigger tree, and I'm just using the bamboo stakes in there, and you can see that this is big enough that I could add in a couple more and just bring this all the way out and grow a lot in there. And right in front, in the space here, I could put in beets or other crops. So they're really flexible in a way you might want to use them in your garden. All right, so I was really messing that part of the video up. So 2 bamboo posts, 2 bamboo posts, 2 bamboo posts, and you can pull this canopy that's meant for fruit trees over, sort of make a rectangle. And in there I have 2 cauliflower plants and 4 broccoli plants, just spaced out just like that. Planted no differently than the kale transplants. All of your basic Brassica family plants should be planted that way. They're going to get watered in with fish emulsion, and that should take care of any early growth problems. You can water them every 2 weeks with the fish emulsion, get them some nitrogen, and just keep an eye on them. If they look a little bit yellow or they don't seem to be growing quickly enough, again, water soluble fish emulsion does the trick. Coming over to my initial experiment, we'll go in. I should be able to open it, let's see, with one hand. But you can see that the rainwater has come in. It looks really good. I have Brussels sprouts in here that I can pick, and they're genuinely, you know, doing really well. You might get some snails in here, you might get some slugs in there. I recommend using slug baits that either have sulfur as the main ingredient or iron phosphate. That will take care of the problems. There are a couple holes in there, but these haven't been sprayed. They're not being managed for insects with anything but this ag fabric. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is a great way to protect your cool weather crops from that crazy white butterfly that lays the eggs of the green cabbage worm, or from cabbage loopers, from army worms, from white flies. Thanks for watching, and please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com.